2 days ago, on Good Friday afternoon, I received a long-awaited email. After 8 months of work, I successfully passed my permaculture design course, and I've now earned my certificate in permaculture design. The final project alone took me upwards of 120 hours, and this certificate was, by a long shot, the most intense educational thing I've done since seminary 20 years ago. Not sure I quite knew that when I signed up. Permaculture is an ethical design approach or philosophy that seeks to nurture sustainable human settlements that mimic the resilience and the regenerative quality of natural systems. Or, as my 8-year-old daughter called it, my dirt course. It's built on 3 principles: earth care, people care, fair share, or sharing resources. To reference its originator, it is a philosophy of, quote, protracted and thoughtful observation rather than protracted and thoughtless action. This week I came across the following quote from David Suzuki: "What permaculturists are doing is the most important activity that any group is doing on the planet." I'll take it. From a permaculture perspective, healthy soil life is paramount. And soil's base nutrients, its origin story, if you will, is rocks. Rocks contain the most essential elements that plants need to grow. You already know that plants use photosynthesis to take sun and turn it into food. What I didn't know is that before they can do that, they have to convert rocks into food. They do this, writes designer Toby Hemenway, by secreting these mild acids that etch away at the atoms of the rock to draw out the essential nutrients. He says, in a sense, plants and soil microbes are miners, sluicing down rock with caustic substances that carve away precious life-supporting ores. This is the same reason that rain is slightly acidic, to softly draw from rock's hard edge those elements that will make new life possible. Whatever else might be said about today's scripture passage, it is a story about rocks. Most of the holy places in and around Jerusalem are caves, rocks, stone, carved out of, built on top of, buried inside of. Jesus' own tomb was hewn out of solid rock with a heavy stone rolled in front to seal him away from the land of the living. And on that first Easter Sunday morning, while it was still dark, Mary Magdalene makes her way to the tomb to find that that stone has been rolled away. She runs to tell the male disciples, who themselves run to the stony tomb. They enter the stone to find the linen grave clothes of Jesus wrapped up and rolled to the side. And the men return home. For her part, Mary stands at the entrance of the tomb weeping. In her vulnerability, grief, and confusion, Mary begins to cry. What she cannot imagine is that it is precisely her tears that will unlock and reveal the ore of this Easter story. And in a very real way, without Mary's tears, there is no resurrection appearance. Have you ever wondered how 2 people can experience the exact same event or phenomenon and come away with 2 radically different interpretations? The male disciples enter the stone tomb of Jesus, and they find only linen wrappings. Mary looks in, and she sees the angel of the Lord. For her tears enable her to see not merely what lies on the surface, but that growth and life and reality that are throbbing up from beneath it. And it is her tears, slightly acidic as rain, that fall upon the stone of Jesus' tomb and begin to mine for the elements that are there. Life in the stone that you cannot see with your naked eye, this hidden ore of divine life that is invisible when you're on the run and cannot pay attention, and reveals itself only when you're standing still and you don't have a clue which way to go. It is here and no other place that Mary hears the angel of the Lord. Woman, why are you weeping? Let's pause here to acknowledge the radical tenderness of this event. She is seen. Her tears are witness. Her circumstance is taken in by the angels of the Lord. And she's alone there in the doorway to death, and yet she's not alone. She's standing at the very place where it's presumed lifeless, but yet there's something more. They've taken away my Lord, and I don't know where they've put him. Even here, her best case scenario is a dead Jesus. A wounded body she can tend, a dream she can lay to rest, a hope that she can bury like all the other ones she did before. And Mary hears a voice, different this time, but somehow familiar. Why are you weeping? Whom are you looking for? You see, it's the voice of Jesus, but she doesn't know that yet. How often have we stared at something or someone and not known it to be the presence of God? Such is the case with Mary. You see, the angels of the Lord, they see a crying woman and they acknowledge her tears. Why are you weeping? But it is the Lord himself who sees his friend, and he understands where her tears are flowing from. Who are you looking for? On Friday, we held our Good Friday worship service here. And the part of the service that really just kind of hit me between the eyes was the time of devotion that we offered with a wooden bear cross sitting in the middle of the chancel here, to which dozens of people came forward to lay their crowns and their burdens and their tears at the foot of the cross. Children, elders, men, women, standing upon the stone of our chancel steps before the wooden cross of Jesus, gutted and somber and grateful. To get up from where you are and to take the walk toward the cross is the longest walk you can ever take, because it means walking toward the place where our story ends, the tomb, the place of death, the place we know that people and plans do not come back from. What happens next is the turning point of Mary's story and ours. Woman, man, child of God, why are you weeping? Whom are you looking for? Who we are looking for and expecting to find shapes our entire perception of Jesus and of God. And it's no coincidence that a foundational question of Jesus' ministry was, who do you say I am? Who do I suppose Jesus is? Who do you? For who we suppose him to be, who we are looking for, might just be the most important question we've ever asked ourselves. If we suppose Jesus to be a judge, then we will always approach him with fear, awaiting at any moment a word of condemnation. In the words of Anne Lamott, we expect God as a school principal in a gray suit who calls your voice over the announcements and never remembers your name, and who you're pretty sure is just vaguely unhappy with you all the time. If we suppose Jesus to be our life coach, then we will look to him for 17 tips, tweaks, and hacks to make us become a better version of our already doing pretty good thanks selves. If we suppose Jesus to be our adversary, then we will throw punches, hoping that by hating God or dodging his blows, we can somehow process all the anger that's here. If we suppose Jesus to be the help or the fixer, then we will seek to shift our responsibilities onto him. We'll do what we wish to do, expecting God to clean up the mess after, or we'll treat God as someone else we can outsource things to, a subordinate to whom we've been given powers of delegation. If we suppose Jesus to be our insecure boss, then we'll resent every single thing he asks us to do, knowing he'll take credit for it anyway. As for Mary Magdalene on that first Easter morning, she supposes him to be the gardener, and she is not wrong. For whatever else might be said about Jesus, he stands there at that place where all we can feel is cold and hard and lifeless, and he wants to bring something to life. And it is from stones that God raises up children for Abraham. For those of us who have become content in our pandemic world with merely existing and coping and getting by, Jesus invites us to grow. Jesus, the gardener, prunes from us that which is dead, and sometimes that hurts, but it's so that the shoots of new life can live again. And Jesus takes all the stuff we've thrown away, our own lives, our chances, creation itself, and composts it so it can become something that can grow something else. And Jesus uproots those things that, why did we even let that get started, and plants and tends these seeds of righteousness in our lives. And God overturns and disturbs the soil, but it is only so something truly fruitful can be planted. And yes, through rain and through tears, he draws forth from the rocky landscape of our lives new life we never even imagined was possible. When the judge calls you, you are a case number. Your fixer will send you an invoice to make things go away. Your life coach will charge you by the hour. But when you're standing at the place of death, you will know it's Jesus because he's the one calling your name. Mary, Andrew, Paul, Bill, Ann, Liska, Pam, Dan. This is the meaning of the resurrection. God's new beginning shows up at the place where we were sure everything was over. The place where you are standing right now and not another is holy ground. For Jesus is the rock of our salvation, the source of abundant life. Thanks be to God, and happy Easter.